I kind of came across quantum healing systems, and something told me, nope, just give the device a chance, see if it does what, see if it'll do anything with this. And it did. I'm eczema free.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for coming to spend some time with me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So can we start off with a little bit of history on you, like where you were health-wise prior to coming to QHS?
Well, I'm 64 and I'm somewhat active, but interesting thing about me is I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son that my wife and I were blessed with, and better late than never. And
Indeed.
so I have a active lifestyle, or I want to have a active lifestyle, and so along came QHS, and I was like, there is my golden pot at the end of the rainbow, the fountain of youth for me. So I get to be the dad that I enjoy being. Allows me to be active. That endless stream of energy that I get. It allows me to be more active. But yeah, I had eczema. I had some bad eczema on my legs, my arms, really up in my scalp, and I had been to the dermatologist, and it had got to the point where they recommended the injection with, that's a lot of new stuff on the TV about eczemas and things like that. I was like, so I went that route, and I jumped through the hoops to get all the discounts, and because that stuff is high dollar. And right as I got it, I kind of came across quantum healing systems, and something told me, nope, just give the device a chance, see if it does what, see if it'll do anything with this. And it did. I'm eczema free. No, I just have the blemishes on my skin where it once was, like a scar, and it's gone. Scalp is itching sensation is completely gone, and so I never took the first dose of that medicine. So
how long did it take for you to see those results, Greg?
Well, I started in September of last year with the device, and I would say, by the fall, it was going away. And there was one spot on the middle of my back, lower back, about the size of a 50-cent piece, that was just very stubborn. But a couple Zoom calls back, the Oriental lady, what's her name?
Jane.
The one that's always helping out Cynthia.
Ellen.
Ellen said, oh, well, I broke out in a rash too, just out of nowhere. This rash and I was like, because my eczema had flared back up on my back, and then it disappeared right away. And so Dr. Alfredo was like, no, it's probably pushing something out. So yeah, so it's gone. And my, everything's completely gone. So
what else? Everything. Like you said, you feel more energy. So that's really cool. Did you have low energy prior to that?
Yes, but at 64, it comes in small packages, and then you're done, right? But I got that device in September. Well, actually, the end of August. September, Labor Day weekend, we went down. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, so we went down to Carolina Beach for the weekend. And Saturday, my son said, "Well, on a boogie board," and I was like, "Okay, well, let's go boogie board." So I'm battling the waves, And I just kept going and going and going, and then throwing football on the beach, and then riding more waves and throwing more, just going and going and going all day long. I never my body was just like, yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going. So I did. And that night we got back to the hotel, and I thought to myself, in the morning, I'm not going to be able to move, And the next morning I woke up and it was like I hadn't done anything. When we go back
Nice.
out to the beach, I did the same thing the following day. Boogie boarding, bodies, swimming out of the waves, same thing. So going home, I told the wife, hey, you're going to probably have to drive home because a 5-hour energy and a Mountain Dew and a honey bun is just not going to cut it. I'll be sound asleep, right? Well, I get in the car and I said, well, I'll let you know when it's time you need to drive. And we drove the whole way back, playing music, singing, having a good time. Physically, I was tired, but my mind was wide awake. So it was a crazy weekend of activity that I don't know where I was like, I know where it came from, but it was crazy. My wife was kind of like, wow, you did all that. Are you ready to go sit down somewhere? And I was like, no, I'm fine.
So a year prior, had it been like the year before doing the same thing, what would your experience be like?
Oh, I would have gone and laid down in the beach chair after 5 minutes and said, I'm finished. Yeah.
Really?
I'm not an exercise guru. I mean, I just had energy that was just, I don't know. I went out there and I went for it, and it just never quit. I mean, my
Nice.
arm, I don't know what, the only thing I can think of is I had the device about a week prior to going out there to the beach, and I took it with me, and I had it with me at the beach, and bam! I mean, I was like the Energizer Bunny.
That's awesome. And has that energy continued for you, Gregg?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yes, Sunday at church, I got a buddy of mine that I'm talking to, and he knows about the device, and I keep telling. He is always like, "How you feeling?" I said, "Jerry, I feel great." And we're standing in the parking lot, and everybody had already left. And I looked at him. I said, "Hold this," and I handed him my water bottle and my phone. And I looked at him and smiled, and I took off running. And I ran through the parking lot, and I had on some slip-on Sperry topsider sandal slippers, and they came off my feet about 20 yards, and I just kept on running. And so I ran the perimeter of the parking lot, sock foot, right? And I come back to him, and I stop and I look at him. I said, "Do I look like I'm out of breath?" He was like, "No." I said, "I'm not." I said, "That's the kind of energy I'm telling you about." I said, "I just felt like taking off and running." So I did, and
Wow.
it's just spontaneous, right? And so, yeah,
That's fabulous. Is that the guy you want to send the video to?
well, yeah, well, yeah, and a couple other people, I try to tell them about Dr. A, and they just don't get it, or they say, "Oh, I know about med beds," and I'm like, okay, well, you don't. What do you know about quantum healing systems? Probably don't know a whole lot if you're not a member. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, everybody. Some people think they know something about med beds. I'm like, well, I suppose there's other stuff out there, but I know about quantum healing system, med beds, and all that good stuff. So,
To me, medbed is a term like a car, but then you have Ford and Cadillac and
oh,
Jeep, and you know what
oh
I
yeah,
mean? So medbed's
yeah,
just like the term of the thing, but there's going to probably be other brands. We're
oh
just going to
yeah,
be the first,
yeah. Well, I hope they know what they're getting themselves into if they're not going with quantum healing systems. They know the staff and the facility, and they're just going to take their money and turn them, say, pat them on the back when they're done, and say good luck with your recovery. I mean, good gosh,
Oh, well,
You
who
know,
knows? I only know about
we're a
QHS because
family.
we're
Yeah,
here, you know?
we're a family. We are a family.
We
Yeah,
are kicking this baby off.
yeah, you know.
So, Greg, I heard a really cool story about a fish. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Marlin. Yeah, Marlin he's my blue beta, and he lived to be about 3 years old, and I think he had reached his shelf life last November, and he was on the bottom of the bowl, motionless, and I was like, well, I guess I let him lay there a few days, and then, did you do the toilet bowl funeral and flush him and go get another one? Well, I said, I'll take my device and I'll just put it next to the bowl. And hey, you know, what's worst case scenario? Nothing happens, right? Well, about a day or two later, I noticed him up and moving around. And like a week later, he's swimming around. And now he's like a brand new fish, has a whole new lease on life. I got another one next to him that's a young fish, and he battles with him. You know how they get next to each other and flare their gills out and intimidate each other, and they'll dart back and forth. So he's a entirely new fish, and he was supposed to have been gone in November.
Wow.
He's
Do you
like
have
the
them in
fourth
this?
one.
Are they in the same bowl or just two?
No,
next?
two 1 gallon bowls next to each other so they can see each other.
Okay.
And they get up to the glass and yeah, he's like the fourth one I've had. And so I know when they get anemic like that and lay on the bottom, they're spent. And
Right.
he had the white face, and his face had turned white like an old dog. And but now he gets regular time on Telegram. People ask about him.
So did I hear that you just put the device next to him for an hour when you were charging it?
Well, and at first, I had my new black one, my large one with the Q. So that smaller one that looks like a garage door opener with the lit up numbers, I put that one next to him because it was kind of a spare.
Oh, okay.
And now I just do it while it's charging, and they kind of like I don't know, Ace Ventura, like you put the device up there and they move over to it. They
It's like a magnet.
Device. Yeah, they see the little blue Q on top, and they'll move over to it. Yeah, so
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So, oh yeah, on firsthand, fish can definitely benefit from the quantum twine wave effect.
I need to get myself a spare so I can leave one next to my dog.
Well, yeah. Well, I have two dogs. I got a English boxer and a terrier. And so the English boxer is 8, and she's starting to get some rheumatoid, some arthritis in her wrist. So, the home healing system, we'll see, I'm waiting to see what type of results with her and, me and the kids. And yeah, my wife, she has asthma and she has a device too. So we'll see the asthma, hopefully, and the allergies. She takes the allergy shots, goes to the allergy clinic to get her allergy shots every 2 weeks. And speaking of, in North Carolina, I don't know where you live, but the pollen here is crazy in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't taken the first hay fever tablet all spring. And just haven't needed it, so that's another plus. It's like pollen has just not had an effect on me this spring.
Hey, that's a good point. I live in California, and in the afternoon after I'm done working, I go take a walk at this big country like park, and it's always windy in the afternoon here. So normally I'm like an itchy mess, but come to think of it, I haven't had that experience.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me one bit. Yeah, I've heard several people talking about the allergies this year have not played havoc on them like in years past. Because this is
Okay.
the first spring, the first real spring that we've all had our devices, and
Well,
we're champions.
yeah, that's good to know. It's just miserable stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
is there anything else that you want to report before we move forward?
Uh, let's see. Eczema is gone. Yeah. My hair on my arms and legs is turning dark. That was the first thing I noticed was on my legs when why would I pay attention to the hair on my body? And then one day I noticed my legs, and everything on my body was white, but my legs were dark hair. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What? What? And I'm like, man, how long has that been dark, right? Because I never, pay attention to it. So I look at my arms, and my arms were, half and half, like salt and pepper, and it was all white. So I'm getting dark hair on my arms. Same thing on my chest. Some of my whiskers are turning dark. You know,
Woohoo!
I shaved, and I thought there was mold in my razor because I rinsed it out, and I said, "What's all this dark stuff in my razor?" And then I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, it's my whiskers. My whiskers have turned dark." So, you know,
Oh,
it's
that's cool. My
you
husband's
know,
your age too. He's 64. He'll be 65 in October.
yeah.
So he
Well,
just got his device.
we are the 64 or the new 34. We're the new 34.
That's right. Pretty
You know,
soon.
now, well, I'm, yeah, I can't, yeah. I wanted to
So,
be, I wanted some way, somehow, when I got married and we had kids that, my doctor, I had a physical, and he said, Greg, he said, I asked him, I said, who took that picture on the wall over there? And he said, my daughter. I said, where's that? And he goes, that's Rome. I said, wow, that's a nice picture. And he goes, we're getting ready to have my first grandchild. I said, wow, that's good. And he goes, well, how old are your kids again, Greg? I said, 6 and 4. And he looks at me, he says, are you a religious man? And I was like, I suppose so. Why? And he said, Abraham had kids in his hundreds, and you're a spring chicken. And he goes, based on your chart, you should do just fine. Now, what I didn't know was along would come quantum healing system and give me the chance to be a dad. That was my answered prayer, because I asked myself, here I go, I've got kids, and oh man, I'm not getting any younger, right? But bada bing, bada boom, the cube.
You
So
are so fun.
I'm good to go. I mean, I told
Well,
Thomas was like, I'm an admin, and I was like, yeah, well, I'm a flagship, so I'm not going to be far behind you in the line, buddy.
that's right. And that's coming up. So think about this. You get a do-over, right? So you get all this wisdom and knowledge and experience of all these decades to apply to a second chance. Your do-over. What's that going to look like for you, Greg?
Well, my mom and my dad were both, they're gone. They were a little passed away. They missed out on the opportunity, but they were heavily involved with the community through their church. And I was fortunate enough to have that in my life, and got to go out on little, taking boxes of goodies and just things. And we would drop it off at their house, and my mom and dad would never just drop something off and leave. They would socialize. We got to know the people. So I'm gonna be I want to be a humanitarian, and I want to be involved in my community and get involved in as many outreach programs with the local churches, and I get a new lease on life. I get to be a dad and watch my kids grow up. You know, when I say that, people are like, yeah, right. Yeah. That's Greg. He's crazy. I said, yeah, well, I'm crazy. All right. Well, you just wait and see, buddy. You know, they're going to
That's
want to know
right.
they're going to want to know my secret here before long. They've already asking me. A couple of people have said, your posture has changed. You're standing a lot straighter. And, you know, and I'll tell them stuff like, well, you want to see me run to the end of the building back? And they're like, they think I'm kidding, right? But anyway, but yeah, my makeover is going to be way young at heart. Oh, and maybe I'll get behind the drums and start playing again. Maybe Thomas and I'll get a quantum band going. I told Cynthia we want to open up for one of the big events, and she can come on stage and introduce us, and then we'll do like 3 or 4 songs and get the quantum family ramped up, and then we'll start sharing. I got all kinds of ideas, like, you know, shared testimonies, come on
That's
stage, and,
awesome.
you know, I don't know.
Mhm.
There's so much, there's
It's
so
going to be
much.
fun. Lots of fun to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So, is there anything in your first half of your life that you would do differently with your do-over?
With my do-over.
Yeah. Is there anything that you learned, like a lesson learned that you're like, well, I'm not going to do that again?
Well, I was, you know, my mom said, you know, I said, how did you put up with me when I was a kid? And she said, well, you were just different. And I was like, Mom, you've always that's a very polite way of putting it. Different. Yeah. I was curious George the monkey. You know, I was always getting into things. And oh, I don't know. I mean, I was an active kid. Oh, geez. I don't know. Um, they broke the mold when they created me. That was one of a kind. It's just, you know, I said, I'm a living proof that God has a sense of humor. You know,
Your kids are so blessed to have you as a dad. I'll tell you that much.
well, you know, they, oh yeah, I can play some mean basketball, but, yeah, my daughter, she's a dancer. We've gone to a couple of father-daughter dances, and I can cut the rug with that girl on the floor.
Aw.
So, you know, um, but yeah, do over. I'm glad one of the ladies on the Zoom call said, well, we get to keep the library, right? And that, so we get to keep all, what, if I'd have known then what I know now?
Exactly.
Well,
That's my point. My
yeah,
point is we have all this wisdom, right?
yeah,
That we get
yeah.
to apply to a do-over. What are you most excited about that?
Well, you know, if you reach on the back of your skin on the palm and you pull the skin up and it's thin, and
Yeah, I know. I
I
got
keep
that.
I tell my friends, I said, well, that's going away, guys. That's going back to thick skin. My veins aren't going to be on top of my skin; they're going to be below. I said, man, I said, I'll show you a picture of me when I was 35. I said, you know, you won't believe it. I said, I had an afro. I have very natural curly hair. Who knows? I might show up next time Thomas sees me. I might have grown back a dark afro. My hair might get thick again and black. Wow, crazy. You know, I'm gonna be uh, just full of life, man, full of love. I don't know. Whew,
It's
cut me
exciting, isn't
loose.
it?
Yeah, I thought about it the other day. I said, wow, you know, when they go in and you know, it's kind of like when we went into the hospital for our first time with our first child. We were a married couple, and when we came out, we had a child. So I'm going to go into this experience at the Salt Lake City. I'm going in an old, you know, 64 and coming out different, man. You know, it's life changing. You know, you have a kid, you know, it's life changing. Everything changes when you have that first kid. Well, everything's going to change when we come out of that the healing bed.
Yeah, you better
Everything changes.
watch out. You might have 3 or 4 kids by the,
Oh
after
God,
that.
I don't. Maybe some grandkids. I don't know.
Well, they're saying that when it restores your youthfulness, it restores the women, they get their periods back and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that part, but who knows? If God wants me to have more kids, I guess I will.
Well, when we got married, we were already up in age, and the doctors were like, you guys need to be careful because your wife is past that age of having a healthy pregnancy, yada yada yada. And then we tried and tried and tried 4 years, and we gave up and went to the fertility clinic in Cary, North Carolina, and we worked with the fertility clinic, and they did everything they could do, and then they set us down at the end and said, Mr. Hawkins, you have lazy tadpoles, and Mrs. Hawkins, you have poor quality eggs. You all need to adopt. And we were like, well, okay. So that was in November. So we had a place lined up in Florida. We'd go down and adopt them after the first year. So our dog, Rusty, our golden retriever, came down with melanoma of the lungs. And we were like, wow, and we took the dog to the vet, and the vet said, yeah, the dog will let you know when it's time. And that time came, and we take the dog to the vet, and they came out to the car, and the dog went to sleep, and my wife was looking at me. She said, I told Rusty when he gets to heaven to tell God to send me my baby. And so I was like, okay. She was boo-hooing, holding the dog. And about 2 weeks later, I'm getting ready for work, and she comes in the bathroom screaming and waving a stick in my face. And I thought it was another ovulation stick. And she says, it says I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, come on. So we go back over to the fertility clinic, and they said, yeah, we get a lot of that false positive stuff afterwards. And they were like, whoa, wait a minute now. You are genuinely pregnant. And they were like, oh, wow. So fast forward, we had a perfectly healthy young girl. And then, so 2 years later, I'm getting ready for work, and my wife says, you need to sit down. I got something to tell you. And she said, we're pregnant again. And I was like, oh gosh. I said, okay. I said, this is what you're going to do. I said, tonight, when you go to bed, you will say a prayer to Rusty and tell him to get out of the request line. 2 kids is enough. 2 is enough. Tell the dog that's enough, because he was a mama's dog. You had to be careful what you ask that dog, especially my wife. So then we had a healthy boy, and the rest is history. I mean,
oh my gosh, you're killing me with that story.
No,
you can't make me smear my makeup, Gregg.
Well, so that's how we so we were blessed late in life, and but I can remember seeing a magazine article of some elderly man that had children in his senior years, and he just didn't seem to think that was such a big deal. And I was probably in my 20s or something like that. Fast forward, here you go. I'm in the same boat. But I have the quantum family to be a part of, and the sky's the limit, man. Well, no, not the sky. Somebody said the galaxy. Alex said the galaxy's the limit.
Oh gosh, no, way beyond the multiverse. I mean,
you go.
It's pretty amazing. So
yeah,
we're so fortunate to be at the front edge of what's to come and share this vision with the world. So
yeah, it's going to be wild. We're just crazy enough to be the first ones. I remember Cynthia saying, well, the first adapters, you were like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do this. Yeah, I think I'll try this. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it through Nick and his blog channel, and he posted quantum healing systems. You know, he was given the RV updates, and when he posted it, I was like, where did this come from? Just out of the blue. And so I clicked on it, and man, it was like screaming at me. I couldn't get my credit card out of my wallet fast enough. You know, I didn't. It was like, oh yeah, I've been down
Yeah.
I've been down several rabbit holes, you know, just out of curiosity, and nothing, never, you know, materialized. Wasn't really, just a bunch of smoke. But
Mm-hmm.
this was the real deal.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
you know,
For sure. It's so
yeah.
exciting. So I can't wait to see you in Salt Lake City and have you back for part 2. You are quite a character and a lot of fun.
Well, hey, well, you know, young at heart, and I'm ready to start. Yeah, let's get this party started. We'll maybe me and Thomas will kick out some jams for some big convention somewhere. That's gonna be the cool part, is when we finally tell everybody to put the date on your calendar and such. We're all gonna get your rooms reserved down in Tampa or wherever it's gonna be.
Yeah, we're
And we
supposed to
all,
go to Tampa in like, I don't know, 2 months
oh yeah,
in
cool.
June. Yeah.
Well, you guys have a blast. I know you know, when we do our first family reunion, and tell everybody, as many of us that we can come. We might have to book a whole bunch of hotels to get everybody there, you know, and have all kinds of testimonials and befores and afters, poster boards up with "this was us before, and now look at me now," and you know.
That's right. We are going to
Yeah.
absolutely have to do that, just so we can share the exciting. And that's why we're doing these videos, so that we can inspire others to take that.
See my hair? Woo! It's kind of white and it's coming back in. Somebody said my hairline, my recessed hairline was starting to come back. And I was like, oh, I like that. I like that.
You got to take your pictures, Greg, so you can document it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I shave my head for my hair samples every 2 months. I just use a number 1 hair clipper, and I send Darlene like a little Ziploc baggie with little clippings. You know, it's not like I got long hair. I send her a bunch that just comes out, and I kind of put that in in the plastic Ziploc bag. You know, I tell her I'm using the hair clippers to get mine.
Have you seen good results with her testing?
Yes, I have. Man, my first one was blue acute, and then it went from blue acute to chronic to it went from pink acute over to chronic blue. You know, like a pendulum, it swung one way. And I remember them talking about that, and they said, oh, it's going from acute to chronic, pink to blue. And my fourth one that came in the 1st of April, that was my 6-month window. It came back green, just like my shirt, green, all the way down, all the way down. And my numbers were like 10 and below. 10 and below. You know, 20 and below was balanced. Everything was 10 and below.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's working.
Yeah. And then I had my blood work done Monday for cholesterols and triglycerides, which I inherited from my dad. My dad said, you know, well, you got that high cholesterol and triglycerides from me. And in December, I went in for my physical, and my physician said, you know, your numbers are trending downward. That's interesting. We were going to put you on statin. I said, no. I said, and I pointed at my waist, and I said, you see this little rascal? I said, I pulled it out. She was like, let me see that. And I said, you've probably seen everything and heard everything. I said, I've signed up for a proof of concept. And I was like, oh yeah. You know, I said, so my numbers came down, did they? And she's like, yeah. And she said, I want to see you in 4 months and do another blood work. And so I just did. And my numbers are coming down, 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 down.
Woohoo! Good
Yeah.
for you.
You know, it's like, so I know she was like, what's the name of it? And I told her, and she left the room and comes back and says, oh, I Googled it. I got it up. And I was like, oh. She went straight to the laptop to the nurse's station and pulled it up on, she was like, oh my God, really? Yeah. So she's like, maybe I should tell my husband about this. And I was like, well, yeah, there you go.
Nice.
So,
Send everybody to the YouTube channel. Below every video, there is a link to the website. So
yeah.
people can, see a lot of details on that channel now.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Greg, I just want to thank you so much for spending time with me. You are quite remarkable, a lot of fun, and I look forward to having you back.
Hey, my pleasure. It was a blast talking with you, and we'll talk again soon.